Hello, this is Alex from Evolutionary Athletics, and today I'm going to talk to you about cluster training. We're going to talk about some of the benefits and some of the strategies. In my experience, cluster training has been a very, very effective training method to use not just with myself, not just by friends, but also with some of the athletes that I've worked with and teams I've worked with as well. Cluster training has a number of benefits. The first one is auto-regulation. So, for example, the classic 3 sets of 10 or 5 sets of 5. If you program that, say, on a Friday, you're going to do 5 sets of 5 in the squat with whatever, 315 pounds. What's to say that physiologically you're going to be capable to actually do that workout for that volume? Maybe, we're talking Friday. If you're a college athlete you're working with, Thursday tends to be a big party day. Maybe they went out drinking a little too much and they come in Friday and their body is fried, or maybe it's finals week and they've been studying and writing papers and they didn't get much sleep the night before, and they come in and again, neurologically and physiologically, they're just exhausted and drained. So what happens when they come in and they can't complete the workout? How do we adjust volumes or intensities to accommodate for these things? And that's where auto-regulation comes in, because it allows the athlete's physiological state to dictate the volume of work that will be completed. Cluster training also allows for high force and high power outputs. You're taking micro breaks in between repetitions or a few repetitions, and as a result you're getting these short rest intervals, which allow you to produce more force and more power on each repetition. In addition, cluster training also allows you to perform more reps at a given weight than normal. So let's say your bench press maximum is 275, or you have a 3 rep maximum at like 275. So you're going to do 3 reps at 275 and you'd hit failure. Well, if you take rest intervals in between a single repetition of those, short rest intervals, maybe 15 seconds or so, and you rack the bar, take a quick break, 15 seconds, boom, unrack the bar, do another rep, you're going to be able to complete more repetitions than the 3. You might actually get, up to 6 or, maybe even 8 repetitions at your 3 rep maximum weight. So that allows for higher intensities and higher volumes, and as we know, high intensity and high volume are two of the key factors for yielding high results. So some of the strategies that have been effective in my experience with cluster training, the first few we're going to talk about are going to be more performance-based. The last few are going to be more hypertrophy-based or conditioning, endurance, energy system-based. So the first strategy is time. Basically speaking, you can program a time interval like we see here: 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 45 minutes. You program an intensity, so let's look at the first levels of intensity. So 80% by 3, 85% by 2, or 90% by 1. So let's say we're programming 85% for 2 repetitions. You program 10 minutes. If they can only complete, and they rest as long as they need to be strong and explosive for the next set, if they only complete 2 to 3 sets, that's considered low. Maybe the load was a little too high, or maybe they partied a little too hard, or studied a little too hard and could not complete the workout. As a result, you may decide to decrease the amount of weight that the athlete is using. 85% by 2, boom, they bang out 5 sets in the 10-minute time frame. That's considered optimal. So at that stage, we would keep them at this load for the next time they attempt the workout. If they hit 7 or more repetitions with their 85%, that would be considered high, and at that stage we would increase the weight by 10% for the next training workout. So basically, you're working your athlete between hopefully the optimal and high levels of volume, and if they hit low, we need to look at, hey, what'd you do last night? If they just were studying a lot or something like that, you may want to keep them at this prescribed weight for another week to see if they bounce back into the optimal range. If the weight just felt too heavy or something, then obviously the weight was too intense and we need to decrease the weight a little bit. So this is a simple little chart to look at. These second percentages are the intensities and repetitions per set that I would prescribe if I was taking someone through a power phase. So the top numbers are for strength phase and getting stronger. If you decide to use cluster training during a power phase, those are the intensities and the repetitions that I would use to program for the time interval. So every time interval has a low number, an optimal number of sets, and a high number of sets. And so again, at the high level, increase the weight. At the low level, figure out what's going on, what went wrong, and if they're in the optimal, just keep plugging away. The 45-minute thing, I just want to point out, that would be a really kind of more of a peaking, concentrated loading type parameter. So at that level, you would only program one exercise in the workout. So you might do squats with 90% of your 1 rep max. Rest as long as needed in between sets. So obviously, if we're looking at 18 sets, we are talking, a few minutes of rest in between each single, and see how many singles they can crank out in the 45-minute period. At the end of that 45 minutes, they should be pretty smoked because that's a really high intensity, and that is a lot of volume with the high intensity. So you wouldn't program any assistant exercises or have them do RDLs or cleans or anything like that afterwards. It's really, really meant to be a peaking phase. Other types of clusters, your generic traditional cluster, essentially you're going to use 90 to 95% of your 1 rep max. You're going to complete one single repetition, and then you will rest 10 to 20 seconds in between each repetition, and you will continue until you reach fatigue, until you really are grinding out a rep and you don't think you can complete another. At the end of that, say you do 6 reps with 90% with 20-second rest intervals, that's one set. You'll rest 2 to 5 minutes in between the set, and when you can do 8 or more singles in one of your sets is when you will increase the weight by about 10% or so. Generally speaking, you'll perform 2 to 4 sets of this type of cluster, or you can auto-regulate it. So if on your first set you get 6 reps, once you lose 2 repetitions from your best effort, terminate the clusters. So let's say your set 1 you do 6 reps, set 2 you do 6, set 3 you hit 4, boom, stop the workout. You're done with that lift and move on to the next exercise. These next few methods are going to be more for hypertrophy. These are kind of taken from Christian Thibodeau. The first one is a medium rep cluster, so you'll pick 6 or 7 rep maximum. You'll do 5 repetitions, then you will rest 10 seconds, and then you will rep out to failure, rest 10 seconds, and then rep out to failure again. And that would be one set. Again, for this, you would do, generally speaking, 2 to 4 sets. You can auto-regulate based on the first set to failure. Let's say you got 8 repetitions on that first set to failure. The next set you get 7. The next set you get 6. Boom, you lost a couple repetitions. Then you're done with your medium rep cluster. Or just try to stay within that 2 to 4 set range and just kind of base it on feel. Once you can get 10 or more reps in a set, you will add weight. So if you do 5 reps on the first set, or if you do 5 reps, you rest 10 seconds, you get 3 reps, you rest 10 seconds, you get 3 more reps. That's 11 total reps in that set. At that point, next time you perform the same workout, you will add more weight. This is another hypertrophy type or strength endurance type cluster. Generally speaking, you're going to go 65 to 80% of your 1 rep max. Again, we'll be going for 2 to 4 sets. and you will either do a set that is 5-4-3-2-1 or a 4-4-3-3-2-2-1-1. So essentially, you'll get your weight. You'll do 5 repetitions, rest 10 seconds, 4 repetitions, rest 10, 3 reps, rest 10, 2 reps, rest 10, 1 rep, and that is considered a set. So the set has 15 repetitions in it in total. At that point, you will rest 2 to 5 minutes, and you will repeat that sequence for 2 to 4 times. Just almost exactly like the 5-4-3-2-1. You'll do a set of 4, rest 10, 4, rest 10, 3, rest 10, 3, rest 10, 2, rest 10, 2, rest 10, 1, rest 10, 1, rest 10. And when you complete that, you'll rest 2 to 5 minutes, and you'll complete 2 to 4 sets of that cluster. So just some ideas of, how would we program some of these clusters into a workout. I like the 5-3-1 workout. It's a really fun one to do. It's a real simple thing to program, and definitely produces results. So you can do your main lift. Let's say you're doing squats, and if you get 4 more reps over your target, then you will do the 4-4-3-3-2-2-1-1 method for 2 to 4 sets for the cluster. So for example, if it's your day of triples and on your last set of 3, when you're repping out, you get 7 reps or more in the squat, then you'll do 2 to 4 more sets of squats, and you'll do the 4-4-3-3-2-2-1-1 method. If you hit your target, so 3, up to 3 reps in addition, so anywhere from 3 to 6 on your 3-day, then you'll do the 5-4-3-2-1 cluster, again for 2 to 4 sets. So in this way, we're kind of letting how our body's responding to the 5-3-1 dictate, or essentially to some extent auto-regulate what the subsequent workout's going to be like. If you hit 4 more reps over your target, obviously your system is kind of more geared a little more towards the endurance component, so we try to overload that endurance component a little bit more. If you get your target to 3 reps, then obviously your body is not really craving or is not really needing an endurance type effort at this particular moment in time, so we go for a lower volume kind of method. So Christian Thibodeau uses a lot of clusters. He's got a video on it. I haven't seen it, or a DVD, or I haven't seen it or bought it. But recently on T-Nation, he's been kind of talking a lot about clusters again. And essentially this is kind of what he's doing. He does 1 exercise per workout. So say we do squats. You work up to a heavy single. So almost like a training max, so not a competition max or where form is bad, but a weight that's kind of heavy but you can still kind of own. So let's say you're squatting and you hit like a 365 for a single, then you'll drop the weight by about 10% and you'll do a traditional cluster. So that first 1 heavy single dictates how much weight we're going to use on our traditional cluster. So we did 365, so you take off 30 pounds, approximately 10%, so we're at 335, and then you do a traditional cluster. So you do singles with 10-second rest intervals until you really have to bust your ass to get that last rep, and you'll do 2 to 4 sets of that cluster, of your traditional cluster with 10-second rest intervals, again resting 2 minutes plus in between each set. If during your traditional cluster on that first set, when you're the freshest, you get 6 or more repetitions, then when you're done with your 2 to 4 sets of your traditional cluster, you will do the 4-4-3-3-2-2-1-1 method for a cluster for 2 to more sets. So again, your body's telling you, first of all, we're auto-regulating volumes, and your body's also telling you physiologically, hey, I'm in more of an endurance kind of based mode right now. So we're going to overload you with more endurance for 2 to 4 more sets, and we'll do that the 4-4-3-3-2-2-1 cluster. If you get 5 reps or less on that first set of the traditional cluster with 90%, then you will do the 5-4-3-2-1 cluster for 2 to 4 sets. Again, listening to your body and kind of auto-regulating when to stop. Additionally, remember that these clusters are done at the 65 to 80% intensity, so we're not going to stay at 90. You're going to drop the weight significantly. So, you might go whatever 225 and try to complete one of the 2 cluster methods. Some other ideas that I kind of like to play around with clusters. Most of my experience is with traditional clusters or the timed method. I really am a fan of the timed clusters. So you can use complexes with those. So we could do a heavy single of on the squat and do 2 altitude landings, and then complete that for whatever the prescribed amount of time is, 5 to 45 minutes. The other thing that's great with the timed method in my mind is it makes programming the whole workout a little bit easier. So you could squat at 80% of, for example, of your 1 rep max for 20 minutes. Then you program the RDL 80% maybe for 10, and then do kettlebell swings. Do 20 reps per set and do that for 10 minutes or 20 minutes. And with this in mind, what it has done, or what it's done for me when I program, is that it makes it a little easier for time management purposes. So if you have a group of people that are training, and again, let's say we program 5 sets of 5. Some guys on with the football team, some guys are going to be done with their 5 sets of 5 in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. They'll just breeze, they'll blow through it. Probably weren't training hard enough, but they'll blow through it. And then you'll have another group of guys that, like offensive linemen, generally speaking, that will, it might take them an hour to get through that workout because they do a set, then they like to walk around and shoot the shit for a while. And with that in mind, those people never actually get any work done. So by putting a time limit on it, it kind of forces them to hustle a little bit. And by using the optimal high volume, low volume kind of approach, when we see how many sets they complete, like I said, maybe they were out late. If you start to notice a trend, you might notice a group of people, again, maybe offensive linemen or whatever, or just or whomever is just kind of shooting the shit a little too much. And now you kind of have some documented proof, like, hey guys, you need to get off your ass and start hustling. So there's some options there. It gives you an idea as far as what they're doing and who's doing what, and if people are actually putting out the effort that they're supposed to. I like to program things like swings and stuff for time frames, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, for conditioning. Just to try to kind of smoke the guys at the end. Lots of times conditioning workouts can be a little drawn out, and with that in mind, your 40-minute weight training session, and then you add on a 40-minute cardio conditioning session and warm-ups and everything. All of a sudden your workouts take a couple hours. By putting a time limit, it kind of forces a high rate of work, and it keeps people moving through the workout. So using the time method is very effective as far as a time management tool, as well as for producing results and telling you what to do and when to do it, when to increase the weight, when to look into what's wrong with training, and when everything's going well. So that's cluster training in a nutshell, and I hope there were some good ideas for you. Thank you very much.